This is Killer Kyle to Wheels of Fury. This is Killer Kyle, and welcome to Wheels of Fury. And today, we're gonna do Highway to Hell, Summerslam 1998.
Yes.
What a fucking year. So I just said in the last video we did for the SummerSlam 94 that I was getting out of wrestling as a hardcore fan, regular fan.
Yeah.
And I was an occasional fan. This SummerSlam, 1998, got me back into professional wrestling.
Right.
Most likely WWF.
Yeah. Of course, this SummerSlam has probably one of the most famous, well-known Intercontinental title matches in it, which we will get into a little bit later. And yeah, 98 was near the end of the Attitude Era, and before we got into the 2000s, and the things they were doing wasn't as over the top as previous years.
Right.
Like, there was still a lot of over the top stuff, but earlier in the 90s, or like the peak of the Attitude Era, if you will, they were getting into some really risque stuff. Then as it got into the latter part of the 90s and kind of coming out of the Attitude Era, if you will, things had settled down, and they were settling down. They weren't quite as over the top, if you will.
Yeah. Like when you come to WrestleMania 14 and then afterwards, Stone Cold Steve Austin becoming the first time in his career the WWF champion. That was the last time you got to see the Winged Eagle Skull belt.
Yeah.
Or the Winged Eagle belt for that matter.
Yeah.
And then Austin having the, I guess, Smoking Skull title.
Yes,
and a bunch of shit with that. You had Triple H fill in for Shawn Michaels because of the back issues that Shawn had.
Yeah.
Therefore, turning D-Generation X as faces.
Yeah.
And I actually was a huge fan of that, and made me who I am today. So, yeah, this was interesting. You had The Rock as the Intercontinental Champion. You know, it was a pretty cool time, in my opinion, to become a wrestling fan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think it would have mattered too much when you became a wrestling fan, when you watched wrestling and really became a wrestling fan. At some point or another along the lines, most of us are wrestling fans. Whether it be in the case of Matt, where, became a wrestling fan, was a diehard wrestling fan, and then eventually kind of became a casual wrestling fan, or if you're somebody like myself who got into wrestling, started watching wrestling, and has watched wrestling pretty much their entire life, is devoted to it, is loyal to it, in love with it. Well,
I mean, yeah, like I say, casual. I tried to keep up with it as much as I could. Unfortunately, there was a brief period where it was kind of a dry spell, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I was on and off paying attention to it. Like, I remember getting the action figures with Bret Owen, Rocky Maivia,
Yeah.
Steve Austin, and The Undertaker,
Yeah.
but not knowing who the hell Rocky Maivia was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was in the embryonic stages of his career before he became the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. He just burst onto the scene at Survivor Series 96.
yeah.
So when you got those action figures, it was probably 96, 97.
Yeah, it was about that time.
98-ish. So,
I mean, my older brother was still a huge fan at that time. So, I kind of still read his magazines to keep up. I tried to watch some of it during the 96, 97 era.
yeah.
But I definitely remember the Bret Hart, Steve Austin feud. Hell of a feud.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so 98 was the rebirth of me becoming a diehard wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So, in honor of this, thank you, Steve Weiser. Oh, hell yeah.
So, we start things off on Sunday Night Heat with a tag team match. Before they were too sexy, they were too much. Or maybe they were too much because they were too sexy. We got the tag team of Brian Christopher, aka Grandmaster Sex Day, and Scott Taylor, who of course became Scotty Too Hottie, as they took on LOD 2000. Hawk and Animal.
Yeah. I remember Scott Taylor even before that. He wrestled as a jobber in the early 90s. And then you had Brian Lawler come in as, of course, Jerry's kid. And then him and Scott became too much.
Yeah.
I think it's funny just how I said it. But
Yeah.
eventually they were too cool. And then recruiting Rikishi. So
Yeah.
I didn't see this match.
No.
But they did beat LOD 2000, so...
Yeah, I mean, for Scott Taylor, he was in the, you could say, beginning stages of his career. And of course, Brian Christopher was more or less the veteran of the team, if you will.
Yeah.
Having previously wrestled in Memphis. And so, yeah. And, you know, having legends like Hawk and Animal be willing to put you over, so to speak,
Yeah.
you know, that shows you the type of men that Hawk and Animal were.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, when you have legends like that willing to put you over, it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So you have this match, you have Gangrel versus Dustin Reynolds, or what he would be later known as Gold Dust. Or he was Gold Dust, but I guess he's wrestling as his own name.
Yeah. Gangrel is one of those guys that is, I'm sure, fairly well respected
Yeah.
in the business. For sure, a legend. And one of those characters that could very easily get behind. I'm sure in this period of time, there were a lot of, you could say, gothic kids out there that would get behind a character like Gangrel.
Yeah, my brother was, for sure, a fan of Gangrel. But it was also the time of movies like Interview with the Vampire, bands like Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. You know, all of those gothic bands that were popular at the time, and movies, and even TV shows maybe, but Gangrel definitely filled that mold.
Yeah. So yeah, when you got the period of time with like Interview with the Vampire and stuff like that, and then you got this vampire character in Gangrel that fit that time period.
Yeah.
It for sure would have been appeasing to that particular time period and that particular genre, if you will.
Yeah. It was that time, obviously, where, we just mentioned that, but anyways, Dustin lost this match.
Yeah.
So, and when you look at Dustin and you see his career in WCW, and you see his career in WWE, and then him transitioning to Goldust, which I'm pretty sure was a rib on his old man. Yeah, whatever, I don't even know. But you look at his issues with drugs and alcohol and finally getting sober, but having to go through a transition where he had to lose all that excess weight, I guess.
Yeah.
But his rejuvenation with AEW.
Yeah. Dustin's now in AEW. He's gone by the moniker The Natural, if you will. And he's kind of melded his look from WCW to the Goldust look, just with different colors.
Yeah.
Instead of the gold and black, he's got the red and black.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely interesting in that aspect.
The guy looks better at 50 than he did at 30.
Yeah, more or less. And I mean, he doesn't really have matches all that often, but he can still go at 50.
Oh, yeah. And of course, his TNA run, but apparently he was fucked up during that time, so.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Now we go on to another tag team match. We got the DOA, Disciples of Apocalypse, 8-Ball and Skull against Bradshaw and Vader.
Yes, so after WrestleMania, you had LOD come out with Sonny and Paul Ellering, and then the Disciples of Apocalypse come out, and that's when Paul Ellering decided to do a heel turn.
Yes.
Now, I did see this just because of the past and watching them in the early 90s, but I don't remember too much after that, unfortunately, so I did watch that, and I thought, okay, well, they want him to branch out and do other things, but we'll see how this goes, because Mike and Joe had full hair at this point, no, like, mohawk and double mohawk. You know, Mike was definitely, you knew that he was dealing with his alcohol and drug issues. You know, he was sober.
Yeah.
But, of course, McMahon, being a cuck, decided to have him eventually do a storyline where he's wasted all the time.
Yeah.
So,
kind of rehash, or opening old wounds, and, when Vince went to them with this idea, Animal was apprehensive, but it was like, man, you're clean, you're sober, you've been sober for a little while, let's not, go through that whole thing again, let's not do the storyline, let's do something else, whatever. And of course, Hawk was on board with it, he liked the idea, and I mean, it turned out okay,
Yeah.
but I mean, to take somebody's real life issues and make it a storyline?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But DOA won this match,
Yes.
and it was against, I don't think we even mentioned that, unless you did, Bradshaw and Vader. In fact, I think you did.
Two badass horses.
Yeah, it was also a pretty odd take team,
Yeah.
if you ask me. I mean, I believe this was Blackjack Bradshaw, so I'm not quite sure, because Justin Hawk was like in the beginning
Yeah.
of his WWF run. So,
Yeah, there's Justin Hawk Bradshaw, and then there was Blackjack Bradshaw with the new Blackjacks,
yeah. with
Bradshaw
Barry
and
Windham.
Barry Windham, and then eventually he grew his hair longer. Well, his hair was pretty long. Like, he had short hair, and then it got long, and then it got longer
Yes.
to where it was. And of course, the Acolytes, and then of course JBL. But, yeah.
This would be Vader's last run in the WWF
Mm-hmm.
before venturing probably Japan, I think. But
Yeah.
again, I won't get into it, but it is a shame that he never actually captured a title in WWF.
Yeah.
So, and this is one beer, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, you just started on yours. I'm pretty much almost done mine. I mean, like, it's 5.5% alcohol.
we've got the European Championship. We have Val Venus versus the champion of D.L.O. Brown. Right. And it was interesting around this time because D.L.O., as the European champion, every time he came out to the ring, he was either from, let's say, London, England, and then the next time he was from Paris, France, the next time he was from Mildred, Spain, or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was always coming out as, and he would even do vignettes being the champion of Europe.
Yeah. D'Lo was one of the few guys that could take something to the next level. Like, calling himself the champion of Europe, and each time he came out to the ring would be announced from a different place in Europe.
Yeah.
Paris, France, Munich, Germany,
Yes. Zurich, Switzerland.
Zurich, Switzerland.
Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah,
Warsaw, Poland. All
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But anyways, this was a good match. You had Val Venus take off the vest and use it to do money shot.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, this ended in disqualification.
Yeah.
So, again, you know how I feel about that.
Uh-huh.
But this was a good match, regardless. And I know that Val was also European champion at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So, Peterborough's own. So, now go on to this match, the oddities.
Giant Silva, Golga, and Kurgan with Luna Vachon and Shaggy Two Dope
Yep.
and Violent J
Yeah.
against Kaientai, Dick Togo, Renz, Tehu, Gayo, Sho Funaki, Taka Michinoku with Yamaguchi-san.
Now, Dick Togo, definitely a New Japan star.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you have the team of Funaki and Taka Michinoku
Yeah.
with Yamaguchi-san.
Mm-hmm.
You have the band Insane Clown Posse who
Mm-hmm.
decided to join the Oddities, which I guess was a good fit. You have Kurgan, and I do remember Kurgan and Don Callis,
Yeah.
or the Jackal, if you will.
Yeah. Before Kurgan became a member of the Oddities, he was a member of. What's that group called? No, I can't remember now.
Tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I know. There's four guys
Army
that.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
We did talk about it in one of our videos.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Insane Clown Posse joined the group and then they later left and they did the WCW thing, which, of course, if you want, you can look at Luna Vachon's rant.
Uh-huh.
And then you have, them going and doing their own wrestling federation, the Juggalo Wrestling Federation, if you
Yes.
will. And then, of course, you've got these guys. You've got guy who was John Tenta,
Yes.
the aforementioned Kurgan, and Giant Silva, not too sure who he was.
Giant Silva only had a short run in WWE. A member of the oddities. Outside of that, he didn't really do too much, but he was most noted for competing in Japan.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes.
I know I didn't see that coming, but yeah, the oddities picked up the win.
Mhm.
I think that you talk about pop culture with the goth thing.
Mhm.
You had Olga who had the Cartman
Yeah.
plushie or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Golga seemed to have an obsession with the South Park character Cartman.
yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure about Kurgan and Giant Silva, but of course, Luna Vachon and John Tenta have passed on now.
Yes.
But Taka Michinoku and Dick Toga are back in New Japan, and I believe Funaki is like an agent in WWF maybe, or WWE.
Well, Funaki was doing Japanese commentary
Oh yeah, he was.
because they would show like their commentary teams like Michael Cole and Corey Graves, let's say, and then like the Spanish announce team, and then the German announce team, and then of course you'd have announce teams from different parts of the world, and the Japanese announce team was Funaki and some other guy. At the beginning of Kai and Tai, you had, Dick Toga, Men's Teo, of course, Funaki, Taka Michinoku, and then Yamaguchi-san. And then a short time later, Kai and Tai would re-emerge, but it was only Funaki and Taka Michinoku.
Yeah,
But hey,
and then of course Yamaguchi-san passed away as well.
yes.
So yeah, Chappy or PP.
Yeah.
But
Hair match with X-Pac, Sean Waltman,
Yeah.
Wonder Your Kid, Six, with Howard Finkel, recently passed on Howard Finkel,
yeah,
against Jeff Jarrett with Dennis Knight and Mark Canterbury.
yeah,
Dennis Knight, of course, we all know as Phineas Godwin or Median,
oh yeah,
as a member of
the Ministry
of Darkness, and of
Godwins.
course, the Godwins. Mark Canterbury. Not too familiar with him.
No, I don't. I gotta take a look at him, but
Yeah.
and I talk about Howard Finkel.
Mm.
He was one of those guys that it was rare for anybody that wasn't a wrestler to have a gimmick. Now, it
Yeah.
wasn't really, a gimmick, but it was like, so he would be like Jericho's lackey,
Yeah.
or he would feud with Lillian.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it was he was teaming with X-Pac
Yes.
because he was picked on by Jeff Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
But to see him coming out, and yeah, he had the shaved head,
Mm-hmm.
but he had the DX outfit on, and
Mm-hmm.
X-Pac going, well, I don't know, do you have 2 words, Frank? So good!
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In his fake voice,
Mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that, man.
I know, for sure.
This was a good match, too.
Yeah.
And you look at Jeff Jarrett and you wanna know how he became who he was in the later part of his career. And you watch that match and you can see that, you know, it was him that lost his hair. Now, normally, a hair versus hair match, you would see in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it before in, like, WCW with Chavo and Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, this was a good match, too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, X-Pac won, which
Mhm.
had LOD and draws help X-Pac cut his hair.
Yeah.
Now, rumor has it the shears didn't work,
Yeah.
so X-Pac had to use a pair of shitty scissors.
Yeah, exactly. Now we go on to a next tag match with the debuting pre-rated R superstar and Edge partnering up with the lovely Sable against
I knew I wore this shirt for a reason.
Jacqueline and Marvelous Mark Marrow.
Yeah, so the match before that, you saw Edge in the crowd,
Yes.
but he was another character that came in as he was supposed to be the silent type that
Yeah.
came in through the crowd and like made noises and basically edgy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to watch him with coming down with his trench coat. And again, another wrestler that my brother enjoyed watching at that time, and the fact that he was from Toronto, it was cool to watch that. Now Sable, I never liked Sable. I never thought she was attractive. In my opinion, I know that when you were at a racetrack, you both had Sable and Tori Wilson flash your breastises at you while they talked to you, gave you their autograph.
More or less, yes. In 2003, my parents and I went to Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto, and they had a WWE day there, and they had various superstars. One of them, of course, was Sable, as Matt mentioned, Tori Wilson. There was Chris Benoit, there was Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, Matt Hardy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think of who else was there. There was a good number of wrestlers there, and fairly good lineup. And at one point, it's going along the lines of each individual wrestler, and got to Tori Wilson, I believe it was, and got her to. We had T-shirts, and they could send a T-shirt, and then got to her, and she was signing a shirt, and there was a guy there from the Toronto Sun, I believe, and he was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So no hesitation, Tori stands up, leans right over the table and close to me, and we got the picture. So yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to find it. Lucky bastard. Anyway.
I know, right?
Yeah. Sable, like I said, coming in with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, later Mark Merrill. They did marry.
Yes.
At some point, and then now she's wrestling Brock Lesnar. Edge and Sable won, which,
Yes.
It is what it is. I think Jacqueline was a bit underrated as a women's wrestler, if you will. Like, she wrestled before WWF, but
Yes.
still,
Wrestled before WWF, had quite a good run in WWF,
yeah.
and then of course had a fairly lengthy run in TNA, taking over the managerial duties after Gail Kim of America's Most Wanted,
Yeah.
and of course the Pride of Tennessee, Jackie Moore.
Yep.
And she's definitely a well-noted female wrestler.
Oh, yeah, she even rode with the Acolytes.
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah.
They inducted her into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So, yeah, and she still looks pretty good for her age. I don't know why she doesn't come back to have a wrestling match with someone. Because, I mean, you have Trish Stratus, Mickey James, where you got, you know, where the hell's Jacqueline?
Yeah.
So,
Maybe she just doesn't want to wrestle anymore.
yeah, that's a possibility.
Who knows?
But, yeah, Mark went on to be a motivational speaker. And,
Motivational speaker?
yeah, there's actually a thing he did on YouTube for a classroom. Or no, it was an assembly, but yeah, I pretty much cheered up with that, so.
Yeah, talking about his upbringing and his childhood and how things were rough for him and he fought hard and struggled just to get anywhere and then, you know, making it to WWE and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a good match. The Lions Den match. Fuck. You got Ken Shamrock versus Owen Hart with Dan Severn.
The Beast.
The Beast, hell yeah. This was a time, you know, you look at what they do with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar and, you know, the Four Horsewomen without MMA. This shit started it all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn were the first two of many that started in the UFC.
Yes.
So,
The early days of the UFC.
yeah, and when you think about what they brought to WWF, it was like, you know, this match itself, you know, they had to call it the Lions Den. They couldn't really call it the Octagon or anything like that. But this match was awesome.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, they had a match, I'm not sure if it was prior or afterwards. It might have been prior, but it was the dungeon match.
Yes.
That was awesome.
That was good as well. Yes.
But, you know, Owen as a professional wrestler really did a good job in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Owen being basically out of his element and having to go into a cage match against a guy that is very familiar with fighting in a cage. He held his own very well. And, you know, the Lions Den only lasted a few months. They didn't really have a very lengthy run. But for what it was worth, it was really good.
Oh, yeah, it was. And, you know, he was the Intercontinental Champion, the Hardcore Champion, the Tag Team Champion. And it's too bad he never got the WWF Championship.
Yeah.
Dan Severn really didn't get a WWF title, or
No, like,
not the WWF title, but a WWF
yeah, a championship of some kind.
championship. Yeah, he might have been NWA champion. I mean, yeah, those were the days where MMA and professional wrestling were merged together in some way, shape, or form. Which, as a fan of both, like back then, I really wish I would have watched the UFC or stuff like that,
Yeah.
because their shit was awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, you had a sumo wrestle a boxer, or like,
You'd have like a sumo wrestler fight a boxer. You'd have somebody that was experienced in Kempo karate.
yeah,
Face a guy that was versed in jiu-jitsu. A karate expert against a Muay Thai expert. Two experts in different styles compete against each other, and it was a tournament, and whoever won would get like $100,000, I think, or something like that, a trophy, and the whole kit and caboodle. And I mean, this all started in '93,
yeah,
and it's still going strong to this day.
Yeah, I mean, even with the whole quarantine thing and isolation, they still have fights.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I haven't kept track. I maybe saw one fight for like a few seconds. But from what our neighbor says, well, your neighbor, it's a lot more vicious, and you could hear the punching and the bones breaking, I guess.
Well, yeah. When you have a crowd, yeah, you can hear the punches and kicks and stuff like that, but it would be dulled down with the cheering of the crowd because they're having fights with nobody in attendance, maybe some photographers and, cornermen, cutmen, analysts, what have you, but you're basically in an empty arena.
Yeah.
Everything is much louder because you've got more area.
Yeah.
More room for the sound to travel.
Exactly.
And it's actually coming up pretty soon, the trilogy fight with Daniel Cormier and fight coming up soon.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
This match, and I'm not even sure who Mick Foley's tag team partner was.
Yeah.
But this is, I guess, a handicap match. Well, it says no disqualification match for the tag team championship.
Yeah.
But it's New Age Outlaws versus Mick Foley or Mankind.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I don't think it was Austin at
No.
this point. So I'm not sure. It could have been Al Snow.
Maybe.
Maybe. It may. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, New Age Outlaws won.
Yeah. I mean, Mick Foley is basically one of the kings of hardcore, and the abuse that man took throughout his career is astounding.
Yeah.
And I mean, for him to be in a match like that is a testament to the man's cojones,
Yeah.
if you will. But I mean, when you've got two young stallions like the New Age Outlaws and no disqualification rules,
Yeah.
essentially more or less a handicap match,
Yeah.
Foley could fight back, but he was more or less screwed.
Well, actually, I'm thinking back now, watching the video, it was Kane. Versus
Yeah.
tag team partner.
Right,
So,
yeah.
because they throw Mankind into a dumpster, then Kane comes out, basically setting Mankind on fire.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically your new tag team champions right there. New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many times this was, but they were definitely a few times.
Yeah.
What's fascinating about this team, though, is that they were the faces,
Yeah.
but they did heelish things
Yeah.
in this match.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, with Kane not being there,
Mm.
not sure how that went, but
Yeah.
I guess Kane was the one that turned heel on Mankind. So, yeah, new tag team champions. So, if you didn't know.
Your ass better call somebody. A ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. You got Triple H with China against The Rock with Mark Henry. And this is probably one of the most famous, infamous, legendary, talked about Intercontinental ladder matches
Yeah,
in WWE history.
yeah, one of the best Intercontinental Champion ladder matches in history. Now, you had that match in SummerSlam, the rematch, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon from WrestleMania. I don't even know why they had to have a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever. But this match definitely was... hey, two SummerSlam matches that had Intercontinental Championship ladder matches.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, this was the better of the two.
Mm-hmm.
when you had the DX band play Triple H out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know who played The Rock out, but you know, just chaos. You know, you
Yeah.
had salt or whatever it was being thrown into Triple H's eye.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock's nose got busted open.
Mm-hmm.
They used that ladder to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had matches prior to this, and I can't remember the name of the pay-per-views, but they had one match. Actually, both matches ended in disqualification.
Mm-hmm.
So this match was to determine the real winner. But I remember thinking to myself that I really wanted to see Triple H win. Like I said before, I was a huge fan of DX.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you saw the vignette that the DX pulled for
Mm.
the new Nation of Domination.
Yes.
I wouldn't be able to get away with that today, but
No.
it's a cool thing, you know. And then, yeah, this match definitely, they pulled out all the stops.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, Triple H became the new Intercontinental Champion. And that's all fine and good, you know. I think one thing that really bothers me, though, and I should check my facts, but you look at a man like The Rock and a man like Triple H in a feud.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this goes all the way back to 1995, or actually, no, 1996, when The
Mhm.
Rock debuted.
Mm-hmm.
It was Triple H that debuted in 95.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had many matches before the game and The Rock, and then matches before this. And you have the only time I can see where The Rock went over on Triple H for the Intercontinental Championship, oddly enough, in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where Sean laughed a smile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to understand why Triple H couldn't lose more than once to The Rock.
Yeah.
Because The Rock is a hell of a wrestler. And I'm sure they're friends now. But the fact of the matter is, it's bullshit that, you know, Paul Levesque couldn't have his ego just away for once to have Dwayne Johnson actually beat him a few times. There was a match that they had for the WWF. No, let's go all the way to WrestleMania 16.
Mm-hmm.
A 4-man match.
Mm-hmm.
You called it McMahon Mania. It wasn't McMahon Mania. Don't fucking fool yourself. But the fact is, Triple H won.
Yeah.
Because McMahon had to turn on The Rock. Why?
Mm.
There was no reason for that. Yeah, you know what? The Rock did win the Rumble.
Mm.
But for some reason, controversy for that. And you didn't need to have a 4-man match for the WWF title. And you did anyways. And why? Who knows? Because you had Triple H ended up winning anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Going to before that, you have a I Quit match for the Intercontinental title. And of course, Triple H. Actually, that's probably another time that Triple H lost against The Rock. So, 2 and whatever.
Mm.
It just seems weird to me that, yeah, a mid-card match, maybe The Rock won twice, couldn't even win the WWF Championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well. Speaking of the WWF Championship, the main event
Yes.
was for the WWF Championship as the champion Stone Cold Steve Austin went one-on-one with a dead man, The Undertaker.
Yeah, this was a time where I had just started to become a fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And was going into the 9th grade, so, and I was a preteen, I guess if you want to call it that. I was 14 years old, I gave no fucks. Who better to idolize than the Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Yeah, exactly right.
And this match was cool because you have The Undertaker. Now, I talk about Mankind and the New Age Outlaws both being faces.
Mm.
Now, Undertaker was a face Stone Cold was a face, and they had mutual respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kane wanted to end a few of their matches, but Undertaker sent him back to Gorilla, and yeah, basically, there was just that mutual respect. I'm pretty sure they didn't like each other, but the fact of the matter is, they had some awesome matches together. This match was amazing to watch. Maybe that's an understatement. Who knows? There's an infamous moment where Undertaker was like this, and Austin was going out of the ropes, came back. Undertaker lifted his head up and met Steve's chin. He goes down on the mat, and I guess he was out for like a few minutes.
Yeah.
So he says to Earl, "Where am I?" And Earl's like, "You're at Madison Square Garden." But he finished the match. I don't think he was concussed. When you watch the Broken Skull sessions, you know, he says that he could have been better, but I think because he had that little fuck up, if you will, he couldn't perform as well as he wanted to.
Yeah. You collide heads with the Undertaker and got knocked out for a few minutes, then you come back to, and you continue to wrestle, but I'm sure he was probably still feeling the effects.
Yeah.
And loopy as hell.
Yeah. But alas, you know, he won the match. Stone Cold Stunner. Undertaker gave him the belt, raises his hands, you know, and that's what's cool. And you know, this is like, they would have maybe a few more matches after this, and this is where, I guess, yeah, Kane and The Undertaker beat him at, I believe, rock bottom, or something like that, and they ended up taking the belt away, only for Austin to win it back. WrestleMania 15.
Yeah.
So, the only other match that I remember them having was at Over the Edge, the night Owen Hart died.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I both respect those two individuals.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yep. Oh, this was fun.
Yeah, fun and interesting, and probably going to be another very entertaining blooper reel, that's for sure.
Yeah, don't drink beer while you're doing a job.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we do shots of whiskey, and we're fine.
Yeah. We do shots of whiskey, and whiskey's stronger than this, and holy hell.
Yeah, I'm fine. But next weekend is Summerslam.
Yes.
Whoever did this, I think that SummerSlam 98 in general was a good show.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, SummerSlam 1998. And we'll go from there. I'm not sure. I think All Out is coming out.
Yeah, All Out is soon.
So, I'm not sure about Impact. But we'll find out eventually.
Yeah.
So, for me and Matt, this is Killer Kyle. And that's the bottom line. Because we said so.